Every PhD begins with big promises. Supportive mentorship, clear guidance, teamwork. You know, the brochure version. But what happens when your supervisor is brilliant but impossible to catch? When their career is skyrocketing, your emails pile up, and you start wondering if you're doing a PhD or surviving a solo expedition. Hi friends, and welcome back to Confessions of a PhD Survivor. I'm Lama, and today we're starting a two-part story called My Supervisor and I. Now, on the tiny chance my supervisor hits play between clinical visits, I want to say 3 things that are straight from the heart. You are genuinely kind and generous. I've seen it more times than I can count. Your fast-rising career is inspiring. Watching you trying to balance medicine and research is wild. Even though our journey hasn't been easy, I've learned a lot, and few gray hairs can prove that. Okay, Prof, heartfelt words delivered. If you need to go back to clinic, no worries, I'll always understand. The rest of us are about to dive into how interview promises and lab realities can be two very different things, especially when your PI is a doctor. So grab your coffee and let's get started. Supervisors. Think of them as your PhD GPS. They absorb scientific needs and redistribute them in smaller, manageable doses to us as students. They are the ones that teach us to fish ourselves. Well, and then they ask for a 300-page report on your fishing technique. In the past years, I have criticized a lot academia, as it hands out the word supervisor almost by mileage. Finish your PhD, publish a couple of papers, congratulations, here's a student, good luck. But supervising isn't some loyalty card reward you collect after 5 conferences. It's a privilege, not a default setting. Before being supervisor, you need to learn and acquire some essential skills like time management, how to dedicate hours for another human, not just squeezing them between 2 tasks. Teaching chops, explaining and explaining, and I put it there twice for a reason. Coaching mindset, spotting when try harder should be try different. If a fresh PhD wants to climb the PI mountain, great. But right after the LinkedIn post, I'm thrilled to announce that I've successfully defended my PhD, should come a learning procedure of how to invest in mentoring skills. Shadow a good example. Maybe join some workshops and practice active listening. Because guiding a student is not a side quest. It's a full-time responsibility. And when we treat it that way, everybody wins. Projects run smoother, mental health stat looks less like a horror film, and funny enough, the papers often come faster too. Alright, before you officially meet your supervisor, there is a thrilling stop along the way. The interview, or how I like to call it, the Disneyland interview. Remember your first lab interview? Your future PI sits across the desk, eyes sparkling, and the interview somehow reminds you of an old-fashioned ad. Collaborative environment. By collaborators, he probably means mice and or cells. Strong mentorship. Just not on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, clinic days, and any month ending in Ember. Big technical support, an open budget. This is the modern way to say that there is a shared pipette waiting for you, my friend. Work-life balance. Don't fall for this one. Open door policy. The door is open. The office, however, could be empty. Just for you to know, your PI isn't necessarily exaggerating. Those magical resources and smiling colleagues may actually exist, but mainly on PowerPoint slides. Call it virtual lab reality, a fully immersive vision only the supervisor can see. But don't worry, in this podcast I will hand you goggles calibrated on truth vision. So right now, you might be thinking, okay, Lama, if I heard these suspicious promises, should I just run? That's not my advice, as I cannot hand you a one-size-fits-all escape plan. But here is what I encourage you to do if possible to take good decisions. Ask to meet a junior PhD, an engineer, or a technician. Sit in a lab meeting. Watch the bench flow. Observe the dynamics. It's a tiny pilot experiment that saves everyone time and energy and builds real transparency. PIs, this helps you too. After you experience the reality, wait the challenge and then choose to go for it or pivot your road toward a starting point that suits you better. Over the years, I've had to share my own supervisor with an entire hematology world. It's impressive, really. By lunchtime, he treated few patients, chaired a session in Berlin, and still find 30 seconds to write to me, okay for me, sent from iPhone. Despite that, my actual question was on which grant I can pass this order. Imagine a supervisor who's a doctor on turbo mode, and then layer onto that my team, which consists of, well, me. From day one, it felt like trying to run a marathon, while another student in the lab next door was already flying past in a jet. It was exhausting. Long nights, tiny steps forward, and moments when progress seemed almost invisible. And if I'm honest, that feeling of running solo shaped my whole PhD experience. If I had to grade myself, I would probably give myself an average score. The workload often felt bigger than the achievements, partly because of the solo setup, and this is when I realized something crucial. Research is a team effort, not to divide the work, not to make the work easier, but to combine the efforts and transform them into real impact. My experience in this particular lab and with my PhD supervisor isn't over yet. Surprise! I'm still in the same lab as a postdoc because, like many of you listening, I live in the real world. Opportunities are getting smaller and smaller, and the more filters you apply, field, visa, salary, geography, the fewer options appear. Logic wins. The project was interesting, so I stayed. Back to my PhD journey. Of course, we had good days. The day when he showed up unexpectedly to help when I had visa problems. The days where we both got excited over progress. We even had a high five once. And at my PhD defense, he was proud. Very discreetly proud, but I saw it. I don't think our supervisors need to be perfect or running experiments with us during weekends. We just need them to have our back, to help refocus when things get blurry, to remind us with a sentence or their presence that the struggle isn't a sign of weakness, but part of the process. My dear friend, I need you now to listen closely to what can happen when your supervisor is also Dr. House. Brilliant, busy, but constantly called or emailed, even during lab meetings, into another universe. Biologists and clinicians absolutely complete each other in this field. We are on the same side, but we actually orbit different planets. You will ask me how, and I will explain. Medical career, very demanding. The toll is brutal in hours and stress. Hats off to all doctors out there. But it had a straight, well-lit highway with a clear career rung. On the other hand, biologist gets a foggy road. Fellowship scavenger hunts, the citation Hunger Games, and for style, a 1-year contract tattoo slowly forming on the CV, and most importantly, this foggy road is powered by grant cycles and impact factors. These are both very important roads, and as I said, we are complementary. It's just the career strategies don't overlap as much as we wish. So when you ask a clinician PI, should I jump into industry or stay in academia? He will give you advice, but as a clinician, and it will not necessarily fit a biologist, simply because he isn't one. So to sum it up, if you are a young biologist working with a medical doctor, here's one small piece of advice. Find yourself a tour guide who speaks your dialect. Ask for a co-supervision or a research side mentor. You will get two lenses, clinical and research, faster feedback, a bigger network, and a balanced goals from ideas to execution. Trust me, future you will send me a thank you email. If you caught our earlier episode on lab leadership personalities, the wing clipper, the chill Houdini, the parent, and the almost mythical unicorn, then you already know the cast. If you missed it, hit pause later and give it a listen. It's worth it. Where and with whom you do a PhD aren't easy decisions. But remember this, a healthy, respectful relationship with your supervisor isn't a luxury. It's a right your institution should protect. If anyone says, "You are just a student, not your head, the supervisor decides," they skip the chapter where science runs on questions and free minds, including yours. You deserve to be heard, you deserve to be taught, and to be supervised. Not occasionally, not as a favor, but as part of the deal. When any of those pieces are missing, even partially, don't add it to your silent stress bill. Flag it and try to fix it. Knock the door and say, "I want to do my best work. To get there, I need your feedback. Let us set priorities." And yes, if a supervisor cannot handle constructive, true feedback, they may have taken a wrong turn into research. Science is literally organized criticism with good manners. Also protect your personal growth curve. You're not meant to be your supervisor's shadow or a carbon copy of their choices. Borrow their best tricks, skip their worst habits, and add one upgrade for the next person after you. Life doesn't award points for imitation, it rewards originals. Keep your boundaries, build a work style that can live long after the thesis PDF is uploaded. If the basics aren't there, ask for the fix. And if it cannot be fixed, ask for a co-mentor or plot a smarter exit. So if your supervisor's interview sounded like Disneyland, but day-to-day feels more like DIY, let me know more details in the comments below or on our socials. In the next episode, we will talk about the crushing weight of expectations. So don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Until then, be happy and remember, a virtual reality lab can still produce real-world science. You will just need extra motivation to bridge the gap and maybe a co-supervisor and a louder voice. This is Lama signing off. Stay curious and keep those fantasy goggles set on truth mode. See you in the next one.